This morning I jokingly asked Sudha, what shall I tell them? And she laughed and said, tell them, don't wreck your brain, keep it simple and be playful. So that's Sudha's message for everybody today.
Hi, Werner.
Hello, Maya.
Hi, how are you? Hi.
Quite fine. Quite fine. How are you?
I have a question. I'm quite fine. I'm good.
Yes.
I'm happy. I have a question about boring. When life seems not so interesting. When you are when you're connected to the source, it seems that everything feels the same. There is no so much enthusiasm and excitement. Not so much fear too, but it's pleasant and joyful, but it's not exciting.
If you did I understand properly? You said if you connect with the source.
Yes.
Ah, yes. Yes. Yes.
And I know it's only the mind says that, because the source doesn't say anything. It's just being. But the mind says, like, losing
this is boring.
interest in life. This is boring. Losing interest in life. Life is not so interesting anymore.
Yeah.
And from time to time I believe it. So this is my question.
What to do with that situation?
Yes.
Right. This is temporary, that you feel like this, that the excitement of the life that has been there before has somehow disappeared because you are busy connecting with the source. For some time it may feel like that you redirect the attention and you don't go when the mind pulls you to jump here, to jump there and do all kinds of things. Then it may feel sometimes that it's getting a little dry. Okay, it may be peaceful enough, but there is no kick, no spark. Huh? But this is only temporary, because the attention is still very much focused on the level of the mind. And we have gotten used so much that we get that intensity on the mental level through special actions, through special excitements. But if you keep going, then this old habit of being so attached on the mental level will disappear, and you start to become aware, oh, all that intensity that we have been looking for, going after excitement, is here, it's now, it's there, it's coming out of yourself. And then you can go after exciting experiences, or you can sit quietly by yourself, and still that intensity is there. And there's absolutely nothing boring about it. I can promise you, I can assure you, boredom has absolutely no space here. It's totally something on the mind, mental level. And it's the old habit that wants to re-establish itself and think, oh, but at least I had some excitement and now I'm having less excitement, and what? Is this the point of it? But what is really happening when somebody goes for an exciting experience? If somebody is in the middle of some big excitement, then somehow they disappear. That the thoughts disappear, the thoughts of past problems, future problems, anything. In the midst of that excitement, there is just that intensity being there. And actually, that intensity, the fulfillment comes out of oneself. And if we stop disturbing that, it's there in spades. So don't get disheartened if sometimes it feels a bit boring. It's not that the more you are progressing, the more it's getting boring. But if in between you need some excitement, then go for it. And then come back. Then come back. And try also not to completely forget it in the exciting experience, in the exciting circumstances, to observe where that sense of fulfillment really is coming from. That helps not to keep on these wrong notions. This is all coming from the level of the mind. It's the mind that it's producing that joy, that sense of fulfillment. It's not. But it seems if we never examine good, and then the habit is there that we want from that level somehow try to squeeze out that excitement, that joyousness. Don't worry, what you're describing is it's very normal that this is happening, but it's not something that will stay. Just keep going, and then that feeling also will totally disappear.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody who would like is welcome to come in.
Hi, Noor here.
Yeah, hello Noor. This time it's intentional.
Yes, yes. On the same question that you were talking earlier,
Yeah.
I think I've been talking to a lot of people during this lockdown for the last 3-4 months.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, and especially me, are we can't do our normal lives that I used to do before, right?
Yes.
I was occupied, I was in the rat race, and I was a doer, and I had to go to office, I had to do this, that, and the other. And right now I'm just, nothing to do, flying kites, So I think this boredom thing is happening all over the world. And I was speaking to some of my psychologists and psychiatrists, and their business has gone up exponentially because of this lockdown.
Right, right.
So it's normal what she was saying. Now, what is happening to me is I'm a very active person, and I don't like to sit around. And you can meditate for 1 hour or 2 hours, but what about the remaining 22 hours? I know a lot of people, and I finding people in Thiru, they're just, doing it. I don't know how they are doing it for so long, but that's the way that they are. So the question I have for myself and maybe for others in the group is I thought it'll get over, like, okay, this is 1 month more, 2 months more, 3 months more. There's always a limit to whatever you're going through. When you start something, it's going to end.
Yes.
Everything in life, like if your wife gets pregnant, it's 9 months and then the baby will come. It's like that. So everything has a beginning and an end. When I go for a football game or a match, whatever. What I've realized is this corona thing is not going to get over. So, I'm saying I'm stuck here in Thiru where I came for 10 days. It's 110, and God knows it may be 1010, you know.
Yeah.
It's going to be there for a long time, more than what it's like when I was driving the car for Bombay to Pune, and my daughter was 3 years old, and she woke up and says, "Daddy, have we reached?" I said, "Oh, go back to sleep. Another 10 minutes more." And I used to tell her 10 minutes, even though I knew it's 4 hours away.
Yes.
And all governments are doing this with their citizens. They are saying 1 month more. Like
10
today,
minutes
Thiru
more.
is completely locked. So the government also doesn't know that they started a goddamn thing called lockdown, and how do they end it?
Yeah.
So now comes the difficult question for everybody, and I think it's for me, and I'm able to not express it, but what I don't know is when is this goddamn thing going to get over? And, you know, and then I say, okay, maybe my daughter says, oh, it's the new world, Daddy, get used to it. So now I'm doing yoga on Zoom. I'm playing bridge on Zoom. You know, I'm trying to entertain myself by being and sitting in this goddamn room instead of out on the clubs and the race course and the tennis court and badminton court and stuff like that. So the question I have is, you're okay, you're saying it's part of life and will get over, but I have now come to the conclusion that it's not going to get over.
Yeah. Well,
for a long time, and even when it gets over, the world is going to be different. It's not going to be the same. So all the people, I think there are some 34 people on this WhatsApp group right now. I think they are fooling themselves. At least I have stopped fooling myself by saying it's going to get back to normal. Okay, economy is screwed up. The jobs are screwed up. I was here in Thiru, something that used to rent right next to Ramana Ashram for 40,000 rupees. I met that guy today. He's prepared to give it at 10,000 rupees, and he's not finding any customers.
Yes.
So I think we need to understand much more than what we are talking about, this spirituality and journey and all that. That's all okay, but that's on one side. The reality is we have to live. So I'm confused as to how I'm going to live and how I'm going to survive.
Yeah.
So that's the question.
That's the question. How are you going to live and how are you going to survive?
Right.
You know, you say, this is the reality. And I say, this is the dream reality. Stop taking this reality so serious and connect more with that which is there all the time. And then you can just adjust. You're right, it's going to change. Things are changing. It's not going exactly back to the old story as it was, although many people are expecting that. I don't think it's going to do that. But we take this whole story too serious. It's not as real as it appears. You say this is reality, but we give it the reality. We give it the reality by totally believing in its reality, by totally believing this is the truth. And so everybody thinks like this, and so this material reality seems to be so solid and so real. It is not so different from the reality that you are experiencing when you are asleep and dreaming. While you are dreaming, then when you are not questioning the reality, it feels totally real. Then you wake up and say, oh, it was not real. It was just a dream. And this reality is not exactly the same, but it's not that much different as we think. You are now in a position that you cannot really plan. What am I going to do in 1 month? Because you don't know how things are developing. So continue with your practice, continue with your meditation, continue with your yoga, and then you have to learn to somehow fill the rest of the time in a way that you are not somehow estranging yourself more and more from yourself, but learn to be in your activities that you become more self-aware. Somehow destiny has now forced you to be more introspective after a 74-year lifelong activity. Now you cannot run away from yourself. Even if you change place, even if you manage to go to another place, there the situation is again the same. Try not to resist against the fact that it is as it is. Just accept as good as you can. Okay, this is the situation. Momentary, this is real. It's the externality of it is not as real as it appears, but still it's real as your experience. And then try not to resist. Okay, that's how it is. And if boredom comes, then learn to deal with boredom. Observe the feeling of boredom. Observe what it is doing to you right now. Observe what it is doing to you physically. Observe what it is doing to you energetically, emotionally. And then you can start to relax that and let go that and become aware that fulfillment you have been running after, that fulfillment you have been looking for by being active, building up this, building up that, doing so many things. Actually, it's coming out of yourself. And then, if the circumstances allow it and it's your natural way, you can be more active again. But you are not dependent on that. You become aware that no matter what, whether you can be active or whether you cannot be active, you are the source of your happiness. You are the source of that sense of fulfillment that what everybody is looking for by running around in the world and doing so many things. So it's good if you can make that step, that you not resist against the fact of the situation.
So what I understand is I'm resisting what is reality,
Right.
and I'm not able to deal with my boredom.
Yes, but you can learn.
So I have to accept that this is how it is, and I'm stuck here, and it's boredom, and this is how it is.
Right, but you can learn to let the boredom, that feeling come, and then deal with it in such a way that it disappears even if you don't do much.
Okay.
And you can also, recently you told me you were thinking of going somewhere else, and maybe eventually you can go somewhere else. But even if you go somewhere else, the situation is still the same there. And then there you will be most probably again in the same situation like here. So you can, for the time being, as well stay here. It's a good place to be.
So changing the location is not going to solve the problem. I mean,
I don't think so.
It's there. The lockdown is there everywhere. This virus is there everywhere.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
You were talking about these people and spirituality. It's all good and nice, but we have to look at reality. But you know, spirituality, real spirituality, is not just another entertainment. It's not just something with which bored people are filling their time. But spirituality means to really go for reality, to bring the attention in the present and become aware that all that we are taking for reality is maybe not so real if we don't hold on to it any longer, if we don't resist, if we don't run after it, but just learn to take it as it comes, deal with it as it comes, and let it go as it goes.
Okay. Thank you.
I wish you well, Noor. Anyhow, we can talk other
Thank
times.
you. Thank you.
More.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? Otherwise, I'm getting bored here. I see a picture, but there is no...
Sandran Pilon, she's asking a question. There you go.
Yeah, I don't hear you. Is your microphone on?
I think so.
Now I hear you. Yes, I hear you and see you. Hello.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you so much to be what you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, all your pointings are like water feeding myself from deep inside.
That is very nice.
Yes. Oh, yes. I am. I'm always with some teacher, and Amma has been all my way since years. The one, but I felt so much guilty.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, the mind, the body, all the references were believing that I have to be more, I have to do more, I have to be like her, you know?
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Of course. And that makes me, thank you to her, to go to more Advaita, non-duality, to you, and seeing that's all stories, speaking about story, feeding stories. I see it, I feel it. But when I'm feeling in myself, I see that there is always a little guilt. I should repeat Om Namah Shivaya, Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu thousands times a day. And I feel like helping. It's from family, you know? People, I love, it's the way I am. But it's never more. And I feel that's stopping my peace. And when I'm starting to say, just stop. I'm stopping. I am. But inside, I feel a big, you know, that stones that could contain many stones, that's, I should help the world. Yeah. And it's resonate now really, because sometimes you are just unfolding one pack, another pack, and everything, all is stories. But I said, go inside, Sandrine, go inside and go to the little dot point. And I think it's a big point, this one.
Yes, helping the world. And you are helping the world most by being yourself. Authentic. And not too much keep all the little spiritual religious shoots that you shoot, because it pulls you away from yourself.
Yeah.
After I mean, there are so many rules you can hear from everywhere, what you should and should not do. And after that, you have all those rules in your head and think, oh, I should do this also, and this, this also, and this also, and this also. And then you are so busy that you completely forget to be here, now, at ease, at peace. So pick out from those things that you have heard one should do or would be good to do, those that resonate with your heart. And forget about the whole rest, and don't keep that whole list of things that you should do. The more you are at ease, at peace, here now, the more you connect with the timelessness of the present, the greater is your help for the world. Whether you do something about it or not. Whether you think I should praying for this one and praying for that one. And
exactly, it is that. You know, I start a group from Amma. I'm receiving some Satsang to home and people sometimes. And we start to just during COVID and just to repeat, to make people repeat for people in pain, just the Om Loka Samasta.
Yes.
But most of the time, I don't feel it now. It's just like, and after there's a little sanguine, we just start that and don't feel to do this. It's just like, you should, and this one, and as it has been working, because of course, a good thoughts, I see it's working, I feel it. So it's the little trick.
I mean, it's perfectly fine what you're saying. If you are in a group and you do that together, there is an intensity of doing that together, but it's not that after that you have to keep in your mind, now I should all the time go on and on and on and on, do that, except this is something that comes so totally natural and you feel like doing, you want to do it, but don't force yourself to repeat even a nice thing like Kloka Namastasu Kinobantu. Then you better keep quiet.
So now, it's starting just to let everything go.
Yes.
No goal, nothing to plan, nothing to project, nothing to manipulate. It's just what it is. So it is what it's expanding. But when the mind wants to catch the sandring, it's by that way.
Yes. Right. Then, I mean, when we start to become spiritual, that doesn't mean we just are capable of dropping off our old habits, that Mimi personality. What happens usually, we just shift the personality and become a spiritual person. But the spiritual person is as much a bondage like the worldly person. It's that idea that me, I'm separate, I'm this person and I have to be like this, or I want to be like this, I have to be like that, I don't want to be like that. All these ideas, completely forgetting that this person is not what I am. Even if we make it more and more beautiful and spiritual, it's still just a role that we are playing in the theater of this world. And if it starts to fall off, all these things that you have been doing as a spiritual person,
Yes.
then let it drop off. And
I
just
need
be.
to hear this. It's like, it's dropping a little piece, and you're just like, and I need to hear that from you, just to be, it's okay, Sandrine, it's all you out while you used to do in whatever direction, it's just stop, and
just as long as we are having the tendency then to just get somehow close down the consciousness and get lazy and basically go half asleep through the life, then it's good to have all these things that we are doing in order to keep the intensity. But if it starts to drop off and you are here, aware, conscious of being alive, conscious of being, consciously conscious, then you don't need to hold on to all those little helps, these little tricks that have been helping you to keep a certain intensity. Then what has been helping, what was a crutch, may become an obstacle.
I am so grateful.
Just be alive, be conscious, here, now, and relax. Relax in that. And stop fretting in your mind and think I should do something good about it. If it is your job to do something good externally, physically, or even in your mind, that you send out some kalpas, then it will happen spontaneously. But the richest contribution you possibly can give is by being here now, authentic, intensely alive. This radiates. This is the best contribution you can possibly give to the world.
I think that this time, the mind is okay to swallow this, to digest this, and to dissolve, mean that.
I'm very happy to hear that. I wish you well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
For you, for you, for you.
Mm.
Okay. Is there somebody else who would like to come in? You're welcome. In the beginning, when I was with Amma, we were just a little group, a few people hanging out with her, with that young, crazy mystic. And she kept on trying to inspire everyone. Come on, just somehow or other, be here, be now, practice. Practice that intensity. Not do this, do that, do this, do that. But then she understood as people were coming, it's just in this restless time, not so many people who are ready and willing to just be and stay with it and wait and see what happens. Then more and more she started to make it into an active place. And people started to do seva. But in the beginning, when people were doing unnecessary things, but still basically trying to do something good for the whole group, and later they certainly would have been told, it's so great, so wonderful, the seva that you are doing. In the beginning, she would go and say, hey, come on, don't waste your time. Don't escape like this from simply being. But now she is known that the active Amma and making everybody being active and doing so many things, because she says that's how people can connect. It's such a restless age and people are not willing, not ready to just be. So she does all her story and creates all that activity to keep people interested, to keep people there in connection with what she's manifesting. But the basic truth is still, it's not all the external good things that matter, but if in that way it's possible to connect, then fine. Let's do a lot of good things. But the important thing is that we learn to bring the attention back to the source and learn to relax in it and be that, get rooted in that. And the more one does that, the more something beautiful is just flowing through that manifestation into this world on this level. We have on one hand now the active Amma that runs and runs, and well, right now she can't. But she's still very active in the ashram, keeping people busy who are there. On the other hand, we have here in Tiruvannamalai the example of Ramana Maharshi. And looking from outside, one could say, but what did he do? He was just sitting there. just sitting there his whole life long. And yet, they are doing the same job. A being like that manifested in this world, something beautiful flows through. And Ramana sitting here, not doing anything, has been such a powerful event. He was harnessing power and bringing it down on that level, which is now, of course, that being that appeared as Ramana Maharshi is the first benefiting from it, but everybody else also benefits from it. And he has changed a path that was very hidden before. Self-inquiry existed. It's not that he has created it. It's an old traditional path, but only very few had access to it in the way as it exists. It's like out of a hidden footpath, he has made a highway. So many people can now walk on that road easier because of his work of simply being here, not doing anything, but being here in that intensity. If we can just be, and if we don't feel like it's natural, it's what I have to do, we don't have to go out and be busy and do good things. Then just be. It's the greatest thing you can do. Be conscious, consciously conscious. Be alive here now and relax in that joyousness of existence. Don't have a bad conscience if you are happy. Think, oh, how can I be happy and all the others are not happy? And then we make ourselves unhappy again. And all that we are doing is adding more unhappiness to the world. So be happy, be joyous, and let it flow out from you. That's the greatest thing you can do. And if it's by way of doing things, by way of making intents, of making sankalpas, of making prayers, fine. But if we just learn to be, then more and more that also the clarity is there. There is no need of doing much more than that. And if spontaneously it pops up to connect with somebody, automatically something very beautiful will flow there. Without that we have to institutionalize it.
Werner.
Yes?
Just Ramana, somebody told him, you're not doing anything. And he
Yes.
said, I'm cutting vegetable and I'm giving darshan.
I'm cutting vegetable and?
I'm giving darshan.
Ah, yeah. Right. That was then his job. So sometimes when he was walking, previous when he was alone, then that was less. But once that Ramanashram place was established and they already did that limit around his sofa that is there now, because people wanted to go too close and held on to his feet all the time, and so they made this this limit. But he was always jokingly referring to that as his cage, at his cage that he has to go and work. And when he was walking around sometimes on the ashram and talking to people, and then seeing their work they were doing, then he said, okay, now I have to go back. You do your job, I have to go back and do my job over there. Right. I mean, he was tremendous in his patience, in his forbearance, because most of the teachers, they come, they give darshan for some time, and then they hide again in their own room. But he was just sitting there, accessible 24 hours, day after day. He could never hide, except a few minutes when he was walking alone on the mountain a bit, that they left him in peace. But and there is that story about him, still quite in the beginning of Ramanashram. He had the habit of suddenly getting up and starting to walk around the mountain without announcing it. But as soon as people became aware that he was not simply going for a stroll, then immediately they started to run after him and packing cooking stuff on a bullock cart. And the whole activity came and followed him. On the way, they started to cook and do all kinds of things. And he just wanted to walk peacefully around the mountain. And then one time, about halfway around, some time before Adhyanamalai, he just ran away from the Pradakshina road towards the mountain, just running up the mountain. And of course, people were running after him. And he said, "Oh, leave me alone. I'm going to find the cave. I want to sit in the cave. Leave me alone. And I don't want to go back there to Ramanashram." And somebody asked him, "But Bhagavan, in your state that you are, does it make a difference? Does it make a difference whether you are there amongst people and people asking you questions and that they are staring at you the whole day, or whether you are sitting alone in a mountain cave?" And he said, "No, of course it doesn't make a difference for my state, but there is more bliss in the other one." And of course, they got him again. He came back to the road and completed his pradakshina and sat again in his usual spot in Ramanashram. So he didn't do anything, but he was practicing a tremendous patience and forbearance, just sitting there all the time and having people staring at him continuously. Anyhow, we don't have, as Sandrine has said previous, she always wanted to be like Amma. And everybody does that in the beginning. We have our ideal and then we want to be like somebody, want to be like Amma, want to be like Ramana Maharshi, or we want to go to the mountains, want to be like Milarepa, want to be like somebody. We don't have to be like somebody. From these great beings with their intense and fascinating story, we can draw so much inspiration, so much encouragement for our story, for our life, for our situation. But then there is no point trying to be like somebody. We can't. So learn to be authentic. And some have the role to play a role in public and have to do with many people, and some have the role to be rather alone, have to do with few people. It doesn't matter. After all, once we get out of this story, it doesn't matter what position we had, what great things visibly we did, but the intensity with which we have been spending our time from moment to moment, that makes a difference. That intensity has been intensifying, growing something that remains also when we get out of that story. And that is what is counting. So don't try to imitate somebody, neither Jesus, nor Buddha, nor Amma, nor Ramana, nor anybody, but draw inspiration from their life and then be yourself and let your story spontaneously, harmoniously unfold itself. Did you want to say anything else, Cyril? You are still in my picture.
Yeah, no. I was just thinking about the sometimes you speak about the state and the story.
Yeah.
So there is thing we have to take it as it's our story. It's not what we are really, but it's in the story. So
Yes.
we have. I mean, we have to try not to get too much implicated in this and too much concern. But sometimes it's just the story is there, and we get fully in it. I mean, it's
Yeah. Right. The habit is there that we identify so much that we completely forget and think this is me, I'm this person, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I have to do this, I have to do that, I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm suffering, all this. It's because of the identification with the role that we are playing, with the story. But what you are is not that story. It's that which makes the whole experience possible.
Yes.
Yes. It's good news, Cyril. It's not bad news.
I know. I was thinking about prarabdha karma, the prarabdha karma.
Right.
It is there. You cannot escape from it. It's okay. You can disidentify, but it's difficult.
Right. We can neutralize a good part of it. It's not that the prarabdha karma is written in stone and it has to absolutely happen. But anyhow, somehow or other, the karma will push you this way, that way. And it's better not to resist against the flow of the karma, basically. But learn to accept the situation where you are in right now. And if we stop resisting, then that energy that we are wasting for resisting can be used to go deeper into ourselves. And the more you are really in the present, in the timelessness of the now, the more you start to experience the story like this. Then sometimes it may be intense and you get completely absorbed again, and then you become aware, oh, got me again. Then never mind, you just come back home and see, okay, the dream has caught up with me again, got me completely identified, but now I see, oh, it's that dream-like story, so let me play my role in that story, knowing that I'm playing a role. It becomes more and more that you are an actor, like an actor on stage, playing the role, at the same time aware I'm not that role. When the curtain falls, that role is finished, I'm still there. But then an actor can sometimes go so much into an act and repeat that role again and again that they somehow get a bit confused and identify with that role so much that they cannot more drop the role when the curtain falls. But then the actor actually is in big trouble and needs some psychological help. If they cannot more disidentify from the role they are playing and go back in their usual role, then they have two roles that mix with each other, and somehow usually it creates more problems. So they have to get help to become aware, hey, I'm playing a role here on stage and don't have to take it so serious. But we are the general state of humanity is that confusion of this actor, that we are confused to take that role as reality. Take it so serious, take it so damn serious, and think that's what I am. It's like that actor that is a bit mentally, has some mental problems and identifies with the role too much. That mental problem is there a general thing around the globe, that people think so totally, I am this person I am this role that I'm playing here in the theater of this world. And if we learn to detach from that, then it becomes playful.
Mm. Mm.
Then the karma is there and may push you this way, that way, but the more you are detached, the more you can also perceive the flow of karma already on a subtle level, and you have then the capacity that you say, no, I'm not going down that alley again, even if the karma would push you.
Okay.
Still, most of the time, there is no point all the time trying to somehow do something with the karma. You just let it go, let it run. But sometimes, the more you are detached, then you get that possibility that sometimes you can put a block and so, no, not this way, it's going that way. And then you rather let it run again, and then when it's necessary, you make maybe a little adjustment. But basically, just let the story go and play it playfully, play it with zest, play it intensely. Then you can have a lot of fun playing that human role, knowing it's just a role I play for some time. It's not so important whether I'm always successful. It's not so important whether everybody likes what I'm doing. It's not important what feedback I'm getting from everywhere. What is important is that the attention is rooted in that source, in that which makes that whole story possible, in that source that makes the experience possible. That is the greatest thing we can do.
Mm. 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 Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome.
How is Sudha? I wanted to ask you.
She's slowly, every day a bit recovering, but it's going slowly. I think she has very badly hurt her ligaments in her fall. But she's walking now a little bit without sticks. And her old story that has been troubling her all the time is also getting a little bit lighter gradually. But she's not completely out of the woods, but she's courageously continuing.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about the weather in Peru?
Well, it's quite bearable. It's not so hot. Now, of course, the sun is coming again, and within 3 weeks it will be straight up again. But usually it's not getting as hot as in April. Yeah. Because once in a while there are thunderstorms, and this year it seems it was so far quite a mild year. Most probably that there is less pollution has also helped that the climate was more pleasant, or let's say less hard. Okay. Ariyo.
Thank you, Ariyo.
Is there anybody who would like to come in? Please come in. I hope you can still mainly hear me, because there is a compressor there nearby. Yes, hello.
Hello, it's Helen.
Hello, Helen.
Hi.
Still there in England with your mother?
Yes, yeah. Lockdown is easing a bit, so I managed to go away for a 2-week break.
Yeah.
Near the sea, and now I'm back. But yeah, it's easing. It's easing off enough to be able to move around.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my about wanting to be like Mama was my. I realize that, you know, this thing of being tested, you know, I sort of really believe myself to be most good and caring and able to be like Amma and just transform everything through my heart. And it's like I've had quite a lesson, really, being with my mum and being with my brother and caring for them, that opened my eyes that there is an intrinsic goodness in everyone, but I see how much mine was ego-driven to be good, get that joy from being seen as good. And I just want to say that I feel like a complete failure, but there is a joy in being a failure at being good, at being like Amma. And it's just, I can't explain it. It's just, I feel such a relief and a gratitude to fail. Yeah.
I wouldn't call you or that a failure, but it's realization, hey, come on, it's simply not the case. I mean, you can, as I said, you can draw inspiration from Amma and from her life and what she's doing and open your heart because of that. But she has been from the beginning such an intensity, an intense power. In the beginning, once I told her, I want to become like you. And she had a big laugh. Like Amma, and she roared with laughter. You are not a failure by seeing that, come on, this is ego, this is mind. I want to play that role of being so intense and so powerful, like Amma.
Yeah.
So I can understand that it's a relief that what you call your failure, because it's not a failure, but it's something that you have been holding on unnecessarily in your mind is gone, and whenever something goes, of course it's a relief. It's like we are carrying all those stones on our shoulders, and all we have to do is to drop them, but somehow, no, we hold on to them, and once in a while we drop one, and how wonderful it feels. not carrying that stone anymore.
Yeah. I'm understanding that it was a huge tension, just
yes,
like a huge tension, like these weights, and I feel like I will still be carrying on the role, but I feel freed. I feel.
Great.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing wrong having ideals that you can put in front of you.
Yeah.
But draw inspiration, not with the idea, I have to become like them, I have to do exactly everything like they are doing, then it's becoming a big burden.
Yeah.
But if you put an ideal there of great beings, then it's like something that is lightening your path, that, wonderful, it's something beautiful can flow to you through these beings if you put them there as ideal, but not as something that I personally have to do exactly the same and have to become like that, but rather something that can help me to play my role. And your role as Helen is something totally unique. It has never existed in whole human history, nor shall it ever again exist in the same way.
Yeah, because it feels like it is something really old. We're all brought up with, well, at least in the West, with Christian ideals. That if you're good, you go to heaven, and it's just as a child, I wanted to be really good. I wanted, when I saw Sound of Music, I wanted to be like the nun. It's like it's something like really intrinsic in it comes from a general feeling of love, but it felt like it grew into monster of achievement, you know, and I don't know, it just feels like I mean it's wonderful, but I don't know who I am anymore. It had such a strong, powerful effect that yeah, but
That's already a great realization, what you just said. I don't know who I am anymore.
yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
not that eventually you know who you are in the way that you know the person Helen, or in the way that you know anything, because you are what you are. You cannot know. As soon as we start to define it, it becomes something else. And of course, that thing in the religions that you should be good, originally, basically, it's not wrong. Because if we are natural, if we are in our natural state, we naturally are in a way what people usually would call be good, because it's totally unnatural to go out and hurt people unnecessarily. It's if you are naturally at ease and peace, you don't need all that list of shoulds and should not, and do's and don'ts, because you naturally don't live in a harmful way. And people will say, you are so good, but you're not feeling that I'm so good, but it's just natural. But then in the tradition, it has become a moral story. And so we are drilled in that when we are children, be good and you go to heaven. And if you do that, God is not happy with you and you will have to be punished. And if you are bad and bad, you go to hell and get punished forever and ever. What notions are like? What notions are these? And then it's a moral thing, and we have all that thing, that list in the head, and there is always that fear. Oh, am I good? Am I not good? Am I good? And we are trying to somehow adjust to the list of all the do's that we have learned. We should be like this. And every time we do something that doesn't fit in, then we feel very guilty and bad and heavy. I mean, at a certain level of consciousness, all these directions, they have certainly their value. Humanity would have been most probably even worse without all that. but it's very limiting. And it's more a matter of becoming natural. And the more you are in your natural state, that's a state where you feel, where you are, where you act in a way that people usually call a good man, a good woman, a good person. Even if you don't feel like going around and pleasing people. And even then, if you are at ease, at peace and natural, there are always some people who don't like what you are doing. So great that what you have called a failure is not a failure. It's a realization that this was a wrong notion, trying to be like somebody, trying to be like Amma. You still can continue, draw inspiration from her and from her story and whatever she's doing. And then let your story unfold in its own unique, beautiful way. And you don't have to be like somebody. But the more you can playfully play that without identifying, the more beauty is in it. And it doesn't matter whether it plays a big role in the world history or not. It just radiates like a flower. is radiating its beauty, even if not everybody sees that flower. And it's all right now, back with your mother. You're doing fine with what you're doing?
Yes, it's not easy because it feels that this I do my practices in the morning and then I go down to be with my mother, and still the powerful mental vibration makes me stumble, makes me and but it's different. I don't, the more I feel like I don't have to change things, I don't have to accept things, you know, about myself, that I'm not dealing with it or whatever, the easier it is. And I feel like I'm taking in this mad mind vibration, but it also feels that at a certain point when I'm sitting quietly, it becomes like an ambrosia in my head. I don't know, I feel like divine drunk or something. So it's both. It's really hard, but then there's a kind of trust arising that, I don't know, something's changing. The more I feel I don't have to be someone caring for someone, you know. I don't know, it's something shifting, and I don't know what's happening at all. But yeah, it's good.
As I have told you before in a previous satsang, it's not for nothing that you decided to go there and get stuck there in the lockdown.
I'm certainly not bored.
You're certainly not bored. And because you are capable of going into your confrontations that are certainly not easy. I mean, Alzheimer, it's not an easy thing to deal with. Does she still recognize you, your mother?
Yes, she still recognizes me, but she's sort of going into distrust and paranoia. And it's like it's no more, you know, it's not more the mother that I had. But she recognizes me.
It's not easy to deal with a person like this. Obviously, you have been capable of going, even sometimes the mind may come and I can't and resisting, but basically accepting and being conscious, and then these kind of challenges, they can bring you a lot that make you go deeper. And go on like this, you're doing fine.
There are beautiful moments also. When I touch who I am. Like now I can feel it. Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome.
I love Suda. I love Suda. Much love.
I will tell her. I will tell her. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? We have some more time.
Hello, Werner.
Yes, who is speaking?
Sridev.
Now I see you, the whole thing in the picture. Hello, Sridev.
I do feel this beingness in my body, in this body, it is felt, and in a quiet way, and it's okay. But every time it becomes very intense, I feel I want to escape. I stand up and I go to eat something, or I move, I do something, and I am unable to stay and to disappear in this intensity. When it is quiet, it's okay, but when it's become very intense, I'm unable to stay in that. Is that a problem, or what should I do?
You can, it's not a problem. It's normal. It's the normal reaction. What you can do when it comes with that intensity and you feel like getting up, then for some time, sit it out and relax. Relax, relax, relax. Just focus on relaxing. But then if you feel no, it's enough, then get up and do something. The thing is, if there is an intensity of the experience, then much more energy is flowing through the body than in the usual day-to-day habitual consciousness. And the nervous system has to learn to adjust to that. Nervous system is a bit like an electrical wiring. If there is too much power, then it burns out.
Exactly.
But the difference is that it's organic and it can learn, it can become stronger. But it has to take its own time. Basically, theoretically, people say, but you can get a complete realization of your beingness now, because it's always there, right? That's true. But somehow, in order that you can keep it, that you can hold on to it, this psychophysical manifestation has also to be prepared. And the good part of it is that the nervous system has to gradually become stronger and subtler to be able to keep higher and stronger energies. And it's a normal reaction that if it's very intense, that at a certain moment you feel that it's enough, I have to do something. And then let it dissipate again. So not a problem about it. But you can maybe, when the idea comes of stopping it, getting up, just keep it a little longer, sit it out for a little longer, and relax, and relax, and relax. And then if you feel it's getting now too much, then you just get up without thinking it's a problem or it's something wrong with it. Can you still hear me?
Yes,
good?
I can.
Because
Yes.
it starts to be quite windy. So maybe suddenly I have to run because of the rain. Don't worry about it. That's normal. But you don't have to give in immediately when the impulse comes. You can learn to, okay, I feel I soon have to get up. Maybe it's a bit too much, but I'm sitting it out for some more time and just focus on relaxing. Relax. Relax your legs. Relax your feet. The whole rest of the body relaxes. And the more the body relaxes, the more you're also capable of standing more intense energies. But you don't have to stick it out, stick it out, stick it out. Feel for yourself how much is healthy to stick it out a little longer. And then it's goes fine. Okay, get up, do something, let it dissipate again a little. Let the nervous system have a relief. And in that way, gradually, the nerves are getting stronger and stronger. Unlike the electrical wiring, it has its capacity, and that's that. But the nervous system, we can increase the capacity for the voltage continuously. Is it raining over there in your place?
Not yet, but it's more fresh.
Yeah. It's also often very, very local. Just in one little place, it's storming and
No.
raining a moment. On the
Yeah.
other side of the mountain, it's not.
The wind is coming here also.
Yeah. Well, it starts to rain. As long as I can stay here, I stay here.
Okay.
If it starts to rain on the computer, I think I have to go. Okay, is there anything else you would have liked to say, Sridhar? Or that was it?
Yes, because I was thinking that was a game of the mind, you know, the tricky mind. We want to escape, and somehow I was thinking I have to force this intensity and to how to get rid of the mind, you know, because somehow I see that this escaping was coming because it's unbearable for the identification of I. It's like I feel that something is going to disappear. The believeness of this personality, and so I didn't know if I have to force it or to relax, as you say. But I feel I do relax a lot, but sometimes I wonder if I need to be a little bit to force my ego to obey or to be more how to say not strict, but to have a schedule or to be more I don't know to say in English. My English is not so good. So.
Your English is nice.
Okay.
Anyhow, we have been talking about that, and you have to find for yourself how much is healthy for you. You feel it in your heart that you are a bit strict with yourself, that you have a certain schedule that you're holding on to, and how much you can let yourself be relaxed about it. You can be very much in your schedule and be very relaxed in spite of that, but then you feel out for yourself how much is really natural, how much is healthy. A little bit of self-discipline is not doing harm to anyone. We need that, but there's no point of just pushing. I think the more you push, the better it goes, the deeper it goes, the faster it goes. Often push a little and then you relax is doing much a greater job than just push.
Okay.
You have a nice rain right now?
No, not yet here.
Here it's raining quite nicely. But so far the leaves are holding and it's not winding too much. So I think we can stay here.
Okay. I'm living near Ramana Ashram. Where are you?
I'm
It's
out
far?
at the Vedyapanur Road, near
Okay.
Adhyanamalai, nearly
Okay,
the
okay.
other side of the mountain.
Okay. Thank you for your answer.
You're welcome. Is there anybody else who would like to come in?
Werner?
Yes.
Hi,
I hear a
it's
voice
Andrea.
says, I hear a voice.
Can you
I
see me now?
don't see the picture. No, I don't see you. Do you have you turned
Hello?
your camera on? I hear you.
Yes, it's on, but
Oh,
I
now
think my
I see you.
internet is.
Now
Can
I
you
see
see me now?
you.
Okay.
Yes. Hello.
Hi. I wanted to ask you, some teachers speak of a state of total absorption where just all the attention and all the concentration is in the source, and there is no awareness of the outside world, and also they say to stop the mind. And I feel that at the same time, it's spoken about just that the mind doesn't have to stop, and that the only thing that should be done is to observe the one that is experiencing everything, but that the thoughts continue and the perception continue, only there is this sort of detachment. So this seemed like
Sorry, Andrea.
the rain
I
comes?
don't know whether it is here or there, but for some time
No,
I
I think
didn't.
it's my internet. Can I use your phone? Yes, my internet is bad. Can I speak from your phone?
Oh yeah, here the connection seems to be quite okay. It's
Can you hear me now?
yes, I can hear you. Yes, that's
Wait, but you cannot hear. Who can speak?
oh, I see you are there in Sridev's computer.
Yes, because for some reason my phone is very slow.
Yeah,
Did you hear my question?
part of it. Right, that some teachers said that you should be absorbed, and not
And
be
the
aware
mind
of the
stopping.
outside world. And then
Yeah.
can you from there repeat what you said?
Yeah, they say that you should be completely absorbed, that then the mind need to stop completely, and then other teachers are saying that you just need to relax and you need to observe the one that is perceiving, and you need to observe the one that is thinking and observe the one that is feeling, but the mind is still going. So but you have this way to always make two seemingly opposite things to show us how they are the same thing. So
Yes.
so I wanted to check with you.
Right. Are you still having your phone on?
Yes.
Because it
Wait,
has been interfering.
raging here with the headphones. So he's taking my phone. Okay.
Okay. All right. But I have heard what you said.
Thank you.
Right. And as usual, you're right. The two opposites are not really opposites. It's simply, I mean, you cannot simply decide now I'm getting so much absorbed in the source so the external world disappears. You can decide as much as you want, but then you still will have all your sense perceptions and all that. It can just happen that sometimes you get absorbed so much then really this whole world, the whole universe disappears. But that doesn't mean you have to somehow desperately try and stay there. That is an experience, that is an aspect of reality, but then it's also an aspect of reality that the appearance is there again, and that source that you have been experiencing maybe more in its purity when the world disappears wants to express itself in so many ways, and then it's perfectly all right that you are focusing on not getting involved and still playing your role. It both is right, but when you sit down and meditate, then you can get absorbed, and if you just get absorbed, then there is no question. But if the thoughts come, if the emotions come and disturb you, then it's good to just, as good as you can, simply observe it without identifying it, and relax and become aware there is that aspect of you that is not affected by any of what is happening.
But the observation of this, it's still coming from the mind, right? It's a very subtle mind. Or
the mind, of course, has to give the impulse that you become aware of it, but that observing actually is happening all the time. There is that unmovable aspect of you, not affected by any of what is going on, at the same time in a way eagerly experiencing whatever is happening. That the observation is happening all the time. On the mental level, we just give the impulse, connect with that observation. Of course, the temptation in the mind is to create an observer. And then we create again a new guy. That one guy is observing the other guy. and then we have to observe the observer. And then we have to observe the observer of the observer of the observer.
Yeah, yes. And it feels like just a game with more layers and...
Right. And when you become aware that, okay, it's not simply observing, I'm creating that witness, I'm creating that new being,
Yes, exactly.
then this is a mental activity. And you can see that, and you can just let go and become aware that observing is simply happening. There is that immovable aspect of you observing the immobility of itself and also all the stuff that is going on. This observation is happening all the time, but we can consciously, on the mind, on the mental level, give the impulse to bring the attention to that observation that is happening all the time. And then you don't create a witness, a new observer. It's more that you are aware what's going on, and instead of doing something about it, just relax in that observation. But if you relax deep enough, then it may happen that you get absorbed so totally in that source that this whole story disappears for some time. It's not something that you can do, really. It's something that is happening sometimes if you remove the obstacles and let it happen. Then, of course, you said that some teachers say you have to force your attention there and absorb. You can forcibly try to focus on that, but it's a will exercise, and you cannot do that too long. Then you explode and you can't do it anymore. It's more, you can maybe for a moment with the will bring the attention here, but then relax. And if there is disturbing stuff happening in the mind, emotions come up, memories come up, thoughts come up, then step as good as you can out of it. Observe it, become aware of the observation that goes on, but then again relaxing. And in that relaxation, your attention may sometimes get so totally absorbed that the whole story disappears again. But it's not something that you have to try now to stay there forever, that you never become aware of the world again. The point why we are here is that we are learning through experience, that we are getting richer through experience. Otherwise, we could have stayed in that unmanifest, but no, somehow we take that crazy decision to jump into this crazy world and do something there. So, but we can learn to be in that process aware, connected with that aspect of oneself that is not affected by it. Then it becomes play. And sometimes then the attention may be withdrawn from the whole story and you forget about it. But then it comes up again. And then you let it happen. You let the world happen. You let that personality happen. But you are aware, okay, this personality is the channel through which I'm connecting with the rest of the theater. And it's all right. Simply don't identify with it. Observe, be aware. The more you are aware, the more you are rooted in that silent aspect, the less you have to remind yourself to observe. That reminding yourself to observe is simply to help to detach from being totally identified, involved on the relative level. But as you said, again, the two opposites are not really opposites. That sometimes your attention may be totally withdrawn, the world disappears, but then it's still there in its potential way, and then it appears again. You play your role, and you play it in a beautiful way, as good as you can, and then the mind may keep quiet again. The thoughts make it be quiet again. Still, the perceptions may be there, but then the perceptions also may be withdrawn in the source, and the world disappears. It's two aspects, two sides of the same story.
So it's almost like there's two levels of attention. There's the attention that the personality, it can be the ego or it can be the sattvic seeker, but there's the attention that this layer is giving, but then the true attention you speak about is always there, right? And that's where our focus should be.
We can learn to bring our conscious attention to that. That's basically the job. That's what we are trying. And gradually it gets better and better and easier and easier.
But I notice that a lot, that quite often when I'm trying to turn this attention, too much of this seeker is created, and it's finally noise. You know, it's a more sattvic noise, but it's noise and it's effort. So do you have any advice to be able to have this push to turn without creating the one who is turning and the one who is speaking about how silent everything is, and just relaxing?
And how are you, just to know how to reply, how are you usually doing that when you want to withdraw, when you, what you just described? Is there a certain way you are going about it?
It's hard to explain. It's just sort of feeling. It's like a dropping and retreating, or I cannot really explain.
It's not a special technique that you are using.
No.
Okay. Now try when you feel that that seeker or observer personality is totally springing up, then okay, you see it already. So that's already a great step, that you are aware that this is happening. So just instead of fighting with that, just redirect the attention to the simple thing of consciously breathe in, breathe out. Breathe and relax. Relax your body and breathe consciously. And see, still you see what's going on, what the mind has been doing, trying to accomplish meditation or something. But at the same time, just consciously breathe in, breathe out, and relax. It's magic how a simple thing can totally change the whole thing. But then you don't get into a struggle, you don't start to fight with yourself. No, I don't want to do this, I don't want this to happen. And it's simply by redirecting the attention to that which is anyhow happening the whole day long. You breathe in, breathe out. So you can as well do it consciously at this moment and just relax.
Something else I've been doing since last week that you told me was to somehow ask what is making all this experience possible. And you told me that last week, and I also find it's very helpful to sort of release everything.
Good. Continue like this.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it.
Well, I think we are ending this satsang for today. I'm going to stop the recording